I'm sure immediately everyone's going to be recognizing their tank, Zebra.
A little bit of a popular name out there in the world. And I believe our producer was even going a little bit nuts, telling us rank 19 tank in the world. So we have MVM as well, J2HC, of course, Zebra themselves, Krefin, and the Orchestra. This team is going to be operating on what Zebra is going to be playing. And from what we also heard, a big Doomfist player. So a meta that very much favors that hero, and one that we saw really used well by UCI in our previous matchup. But now we take a look over at University of New Mexico Esports Cherry, where we have Keygator, Karama, Barracks, Bozeman, Silhouette, Ray. I mean, we recognize a lot of these names, right?
Yeah, a lot of these names I recognize from all sorts of casts I've done, from CGL to collegiate. I mean, UNM is, they're 4-1 for a reason. They have a lot of big names on their team in the Champions Division. So I expect quite a match between these two teams. You know, these first two matches we watched go 3-0. I think this one has potential for a 5-map banger.
Ooh, we're going all the way. We're going the distance. Nothing like a little bit of late night Overwatch to really get the blood other than Ilios.
Yeah, and I think this map, it was UCSCA's map pick. I think considering Zebra being such a great Doomfist player, this is going to be the perfect playground to be able to play those compositions. So it's no surprise we're headed here, and just expect a lot of Doomfist.
The thing that I think is interesting across the board is that we look at the sport lineups being probably going to keep Moira. Silhouette is giving us the standard
Yes, they're going to have the ability to hack Burix and make his job that much harder, but there's going to be a lot more burst damage available for Karama on this Echo. Ooh. So I think that's going to be the crux of the issue for UNM.
There's also a crux of the issue for UCSC. J2HC got a little too close to Barracks and head blown right off of their shoulders. UNM Esports Cherry coming in hard and fast and taking the point first.
Yeah, that's going to be the key for UCSC, is taking advantage of the hacked targets that J2HC is able to find. But like I said, UNM is just doing a great job of following up on the burst damage available. That's what you're looking for. Hack, kill Burix.
If J2HC lives long enough to actually get the heck off onto Barracks, there's not much that this Doomfist can do. And then you're going through, picking off the rest of them piece by little piece. No one is going to escape from this team. It's only a matter of time. It feels like UNM is still doing a phenomenal job holding on to the point for as long as possible and squeezing out every single last percent.
Yeah, in a really staggered, long, fight like that, that's all you can do if you're UNM, because you're going to lose that fight. This next fight coming up, we're going to have the battle of the pulse bombs between Keygator and NVM. So really, those are going to be the players looking to open things up for the teams, but Karama is lurking with this duplicate coming up online soon.
Who is going to blow someone up? It is MVM. Never mind them that is going to be on Barracks to go along with it. The tank scent packing UNM Esports Cherry continuing to suffer losses purely at the hands of MVM, who is so hungry, so determined, backing up and knowing when to press the attack once more.
Yeah, I'm actually excited to see this interaction between the Moira versus the Kiriko, because I believe Moira in general is going to have a lot more burst damage up front with the orbs plus, the spray. So, but Kiriko's got that Suzu.
Keygator not landing that pulse bomb. Karama was duplicated, but NVM, who better to do it but them, gets them outside of it. And now Zebra is giving us a stark reminder of what they're capable of on this Doomfist. But again, we're seeing this, Ray. We saw it earlier tonight out of UCI, UCSC doing the same thing, this coordination that you're getting out of the dive Doomfist composition.
Yeah, I feel like that was just very well played by UCSC. They basically baited UNM over to like the little room off to the side with a mini health pack, and that's exactly where USC has wanted to play. They're going to take full advantage. Chroma's on the Cassie now, but it feels like it might be too little too late. But they get NVM.
Wait a minute, and Zebra still has to get back over the site, and so without them, there was nothing to protect against Burix. UCSC collapses, they tumble, they give it the point. UNM Esports Cherry picking up where they left off.
Yeah, this magnetic grenade that's now available to Kurama, with the amount of mobility available to UCSC, that ability can be a big hindrance. So Kurama's got to be decisive with who you throw that onto.
J2HC, this EMP could be the world, and it is going to give them the world. Kurama caught inside of it, Silhouette and Keygator as well. Silhouette's going to get out of it just in the nick of time, but Keygator is still struggling to find their way through it. The recovery from UNM Esports, Ray, is perfect. Barracks is still alive. That's even more so important. And dips and dives just out of the way of the inevitable meteor strike that was landing on top of them. But really, once again, it's just about buying as much time. One more team fight to go. UCSC needs to win.
Yeah, the closer you get to 99, the better it's going to be. One final fight for both these teams to make something happen. But Kurama has been staggered, so this final fight is going to be that much more difficult for UNM to find something. It's going to be on the back of Keygator to find something with this pulse bomb.
99%. Erix gets to the target location just in the nick of time. The rest of the team's just not able to do it, though. Everyone else who's trying to come up is just getting murdered. Crevin's going to top it all off with a beautiful coalescence. That is 100-93 in favor UCSCA.
As that's just a great opening map for both those teams. Essentially 99-99. UNM's doing a great job of matching UCSC's Doomfist composition. And they've been making nice swaps that have been working out for them. I like the Echo at the beginning. Had a lot of that burst damage. Then even going to the Cassidy at the end made some major waves and forced UCSC to have to play slightly differently. And have to take, service of Kurama and know where he is and knowing that's their primary target to get down.
This time, not wasting any time with the choice of Cassidy. Kurama is already going to go over to it. But not much in the lines are going to be changing here, except for Barracks deciding that, yeah, Doomfist, not really what we were feeling. Let's see how Diva is going to work for us.
Yeah, I like the ability to be able to play the Diva, but it's going to be tough. Just look at all that damage they're already putting onto the mech, forcing out these Suzu so early. This is a big buff for UCSC.
It's still a trade. Kurama and Kreffin out. UCSC missing a lot of that healing from their main support. The orchestra just was not good enough to be able to carry up the rest of that. UCSC are still suffering some of those losses, and the contestation is coming back, but NVM is putting in the overtime to try and equalize things back out. And against all odds, through the efforts, it feels like this Tracer Doomfist combination is actually working. Barracks wanted to go for it again, punched into the wall, stunned just long enough, and the boatload of damage that hit them like a truck sends them away.
Yeah, I didn't like the idea of Burix dropping down to contest point like that. Everyone was waiting for him. The rest of the team wasn't even ready to follow up, and he just gets blown up immediately. And now NVM, who's been absolutely dominating, has another pulse bomb available to be able to use in this next fight. So you got to be careful as he's on the hunt.
Oh my god, that was close. Able to pop the recall just in the nick of time. Zebra, of course, has this mega pack to keep them alive. Keygator's pulse bomb. Just what UNM Esports Chariot was looking for. Getting the rest of the results that they were looking for, but NVM, again, this pulse bomb not only gets Kurama, but gets Burix out of their mech. And so for the recontestation from UCSC, when the reinforcements come through, just gets rid of the baby diva that is Burix. Very close to actually making that happen. Gets it done. Point was only lost for just a second. Now they're in control once more.
Yeah, just when things were looking up for UNM, in comes NVM with the big pulse bomb. Finds essentially two because you get the Diva mech, and that's pretty much able to re-flip the fight in your favor. And now they can play aggressively here with this EMP that J2HC is going to have available.
Silhouette, Kitsune Rush, but J2HC always has the answers, and it's going to be an EMP, but Zebra has been eliminated. UNM Esports Cherry is trying to go for everyone as quickly as they possibly can. Barracks, quick self-destruct to buy some space and some time, but you're not buying anything to stop NVM. They still are putting so much pressure and putting so much damage onto these players. Zebra goes up in the air away from the high noon. NVM assassinates Karama, but too much damage had been dealt to Zebra for them to go any further at that point. Dive onto the rest of the targets. UNM Esports Cherry back in control of the point and ticking upwards ever so slowly.
Yeah, but again, the aggression from Birix time and time again. I mean, you get the pulse bomb onto NVM, but it costs you your mech, and I don't know if that's going to be a favorable trade because NVM's going to be back fast and they can just look to push aggressively here. So I think once again, Kagator's going to have to look to find a big pulse bomb and try and flip this in their favor because if UCSC wins this fight, it's going to be all but over with 85% they've already had.
UCSC has to realize too that Birix is not inside of the mech. Get rid of them before they can actually get inside of it and they actually make it. And UCSC loses Zebra. UNM Esports Cherry operating at peak efficiency. Karama giving us a lesson on some Wild West shooting. UNM Esports Cherry holding on strong.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just could not get Birix in that mini diva form in time. So now you're in the situation where UCSC, this is pretty much final fight territory for both of these teams. You're gonna have both your support ultimates online, so you're going to have a key advantage in this ult economy to try and bring Ilios home.
Birix flying all over the place, but the Coalescence lands on top of them and lands them outside of their mech. Kreffin is hunting down whoever they can from their ultimate, and the hunt has been accomplished. Birix didn't get inside of the mech. It was so close, but the Orchestra capitalizes, stops them.
There might be an opportunity here for UNM to try and get a touch. Birix is going to go over the Doomfist as we see Bozeman, who has a sound barrier, should be able to get the touch, has to use a sound barrier to be able to do so, which gives UCSC an advantage to counter sound barrier.
Bozeman didn't get the sound barrier off. The Orchestra was able to, and now Envy him is cutting through all of UNM Esports Cherry, deciding they've had enough of any pretense or speculation of this map going in any other way than a 2-0 for UCSCA. The Slugs coming out on top.
Yeah, already making a big statement coming into the series, but I think UNM, all things considered, played that map pretty well, considering their map. Considering for the first map, they were matching Doomfist, and essentially went 99-99. I feel like if you coordinated your attacks a little bit better, I still think back to that fight where Birix just dropped a point to contest on Lighthouse and just got his mech blown up when the rest of the team wasn't ready. You clean some of that stuff up, and we're gonna be looking at a great series.
I think we are. I mean, these maps were relatively close, Ray. I mean, it really just felt like it came down to the wire in a lot of these instances, but it also never really felt to me like UCSC was ever worried at the same time. It felt like they knew what they needed to do to get the job done. It was just all about capitalizing on that. And we talked a lot about how amazing Zebra was, but I feel like the real star of at least Ilios was MVM. This Tracer was devastating against UNM.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. It felt like if their backs against the wall and they needed a big play, NVM was the person to come through. And I was a big fan of J2HC. I mean, there were points where it felt like the Sombra wasn't as effective as they wanted to be, but on Lighthouse specifically, I think they did it to Shambhala Monastery.
I like this choice. A much more linear affair climbing up the mountain of Nepal. This is going to be, I think, UNM's best chance, it feels like, here on Shambhala Monastery with the compositions that we've been seeing out of them. One that I think favors also just really well. We saw the really clean diva gameplay out of this team, and something that I hope is going to be able to translate just that little bit better on Shambhala. A lot more of the high ground that they can definitely abuse, different ways that they can get in there. But of course, you're still looking at this Zebra Doomfist meta that is not going to.
Which I'm interested about is on Ilios, they elected to play the Sombra, which I kind of get on a map like Ilios. Come into Shambhala, they're going to keep playing this Doomfist, but they bring in the Echo.
Barracks is giving us Malga.
Let's go!
Let's go! Holy cow! They're actually walking out with Malga and a Bastion. And so what does UCSC do? They go back over. It looks like we flipped the sides. But UNM is the ones that are on attack. UNM are the ones that need to push the payload. But instead, they're the ones that have the high ground.
This is so odd as Kreffin finds the pick on a Bozeman. So now things are looking a little bleak here as they have to try and counter-rotate. But the mobility for UCSC is just so good.
He's going to get in there. They're getting so much damage put on them. And it feels like nothing is really coming to fruition for UNM. Listen, I admire the choice of Mauga and the Bastion. But the real issue is that UCSC can play so disjointed that it really becomes difficult to pick a target to fight against.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like, as soon as they saw Mauga and them going to the high ground, they all just completely split up and recoalesced like they were attacking. Like, there's not much UNM can do to try and get on top of this mobile composition playing Mauga.
Meanwhile, this entire time, as well, by the way, that card had not moved a single inch. They just let it sit there. And this is exactly what UCSC was like, all right, well, if you don't want to fight us, we'll just go and play on your own payload. Keygator gets the headshot off onto J2HC, but UCSC is going to answer right back in kind, dealing untold, unspeakable amounts of damage. The perfect stick from NVM. They go to get rid of the final Bozeman target, just barely able to get the boop off in time. Kurama is going to eliminate Kreffin. UNM needs to push this.
Yeah, that pick on a Kreffin is going to be huge, Sam, because now if you're UCSC, you can't afford to play aggressively. Your main healing source is off of the field, so they have to completely back up and allow UNM to take this corridor. And that's exactly what they want to be able to do, because this corridor is where things are going to get a lot more brawly for them to work with this Mauga composition.
Yeah, and look at what's happening to Kurama. They're looking in two different directions, trying to figure a target in the turret form. Up comes the artillery strike. J2HC going to fall, but Zebra has the answers in kind. Get right into the back line as quick as you can, and then dive on top of Kurama, dealing just enough damage that even when you're eliminated, the rest of the team is able to do the job and get it done. Barracks having to run out, may be able to do it. The pulse bomb doesn't stick, but still does enough damage to get rid of Barracks.
There's actually twice in a row where NVM kind of just yeeted the pulse bomb and Barracks kind of got backed up into it and gets killed. But, I mean, just look at all this damage that J2HC on this Echo is able to apply. Kurama's already down.
Yeah, Kurama's out of here. Zebra wanting to make sure to apply the pressure in all of the right places. UNM Esports, Cherry Ray, I'm going to be honest, this composition is just, it's gaining the distance, but it feels like at this point, without the payload as cover, how can you cover this distance?
Yeah, this is where things are starting to get a lot more difficult for them to be able to find these picks, and the charge is not able to find the value it needs, as UCSC is just doing a great job of disengaging when these cooldowns come out.
We're in the gulag now. Oh, but guess who's going to do it? J2HC! Right back into the orchestra, pumps off the beat. Now we have the Mauga v Mauga. The ultimate wears off, and no one is going to fall from that. The orchestra keeps the team alive, and now J2HC with a focusing beam, focusing down Kurama. Barracks, nowhere to go except for into the waiting arms of UCSC. The final seconds are ticking away, and so are the chances for UNM. UCSC playing tricks around this Mauga composition.
Yeah, the first point hold coming in very strong for UCSC. Sticking to their guns on this Doomfist composition has been the right call, and they're just playing it at a superb level. I like coming into a map like this that's a lot more close quarters, a lot more alleys, where you can just throw the sticky bombs down an alley. You're going to hit someone and just throw out so much damage on this Echo instead of playing the Sombra. I think it's a nice adaptation coming into Shambali to still be able to play the Doomfist composition.
I couldn't agree with you more, Ray. But for UCSC, we know how far that they need to go. And in all honesty, it doesn't really feel that far. Just over 85 meters. That's it. They don't even need to, no checkpoints that they have to worry about. It's going to be very difficult for UNM, and they're still going to stick with this Mauga composition. Kurama, on the flip side, is going to give us the Swedish meatball master himself, Torbjorn.
Which I don't think is like a throw pick whatsoever.
No,
I think the
agreed.
turret that the Swedish man has available can do a lot to disrupt what J2HC and MVM want to do with their flanks. Get a nice turret there and have it constantly pepper them with damage and bother them, because the turret does apply that healing reduction if it gets hits onto them. So I think this could be a smart adaptation, but it's just tough when you got first point held and UCSC just seems to be firing on all cylinders at this point. They have to find a way to dismantle these dives.
So far, the clairvoyance just hasn't come to them and how to stop this dive. Maybe Torbjorn was just what they were looking for, just what they need. Time will give us the lessons on that. Rama being thrown all over the place. Going a little bit down, you see Zebra alone and by themselves while you're trying to get rid of the tank. NVM is going to get rid of your Moira, but Kurama is going to run down Kreffen to go along with that. One turret comes up, my goodness! It was a last-second melee that Kurama landed on NVM, but no healing to save them from the 9 HP that they only had. They fall. UNM Esports Cherry looking like the rest of them are going to be joining that same grave.
Love to see the Torbjorn ready to fight plays coming in from Kurama. And I can do that a lot better with my voice being raspy. So big dubs here as UCSC is now rounding the final corner to try and bring this to a clean 2-0 series. J2HC is coming up on this duplicate to try and bring it home.
Barracks getting into the face of the opposition. UCSC gonna back off. Big pick though. MVM is gone. A little less to worry about for UNM Esports, continuing to push forward. And finally for this team, a bit of breathing room that they get to gain and some time to collect their thoughts.
Yeah, back to the spawn doors goes UCSC. And that was a big fight for UNM because now they're going to have some ultimates coming online to be able to match what UCSC is coming into this fight. So Kurama, Bozeman, Silhouette, their ultimates are going to be so important to keeping this map alive and their hopes to tie up the series 1-1.
Orchestra is getting caught inside of this tiny room. They push Barracks into that tiny area. First of the Molten Cores is on the ground. Now we're going to have the Meteor Strike on top of Bozeman. It's this once again figuring out who's the low target. Kurama's Torbjorn snipes out NVM, but it's Kreffen with this Moira getting into their faces, putting them all down to bed and dealing the damage along with it. Barracks in a last-ditch effort brings us into the gulag. We fly into it to bail out the rest of the team. Barracks is going to get the sound barrier, but it feels like even with that extra support from their Lucio, they got ripped to shreds anyways. The cart going to its final destination. The last pieces of UNM Esports Cherry looking to do whatever they can to stop it here. Kurama is on, the Torbjorn is out. Keygator with this Tracer, seeing whatever threat, whatever possibilities are there, but the possibilities for UCSC on the flip side are endless. Cart goes to where it needs to be. Map number 2, UCSCA.
Very well played, all things considered, by UCSC. The big thing in that final scrum fight we saw was J2HC got a big pick on to the Lucio on the side of UNM, and they weren't able to use the sound barrier in that fight. And because of that, they're able to get that victory, because then he comes back and uses it late when it was just all for naught at that point. So just very good target focus coming in for UCSC on this Doomfist. UNM tried to throw some stuff against the wall to try and deal with this Doomfist. Unfortunately, this composition did not stick. And, you know, coming into map number 3, where they're going to have to reverse sweep, one composition we have seen success against the Doomfist is Junker Queen.
You are right, Ray. Hopefully UNM Esports has that in their toolkit. Junker Queen has been an indomitable force as well. We talked to and sung the praises a lot about Doomfist, and obviously Zebra is immaculate on this player, on this hero itself. So hopefully UNM Esports are able to do that same thing, and especially when you look.
Yeah, no surprises here. We get 3 games in a row where it all comes down to Saravasa to try and keep the hopes alive for UNM of making the reverse sweep. And I think for the side of UCSC, this, you know, is a great map choice. It's going to be phenomenal for the Doomfist. We've seen that the other 2 matches today where that composition worked out very well for them. So Can't wait to see. I mean, once again, I think it's going to be on UNM to try and find an answer to the Doomfist competition. We kind of, talked about it before the break that we thought the Junker Queen would be a good idea, and I think that kind of composition can work very well on Saravasa.
Only thing, and I hate to say,
Junker Queen anti to deal with. I think just the burst damage of the Moira is going to do yourself a lot more justice. But once again, we're going to see this matchup. The main difference really is just J2HC is on the Sombra, Kagator is on the Echo.
All right, UCSC, one more map to go, and this series is theirs and an undefeated streak that continues its way forward. UNM Esports Cherry on the back foot, backs against the wall. No second chances if they lose Saravasa. And already we're seeing UCSC on top of the point itself. UNM Esports is changing and exchanging blow for blow. This time around, Zebra is the one on the back foot. Kreffin is going to be the first blood. J2HC is going to be traded out, but there's still so much damage that Zebra needs to try and recover from. UNM hasn't gotten the point yet. And now NVM slaps Kurama around. And this is UCSC. Got hit hard, maybe a little bit bloodied, and some percentage points going over for UNM. But it's all for naught.
Yeah, at first I felt like the burst damage available to Kagator was doing a great job of outweighing the hack that J2HC had, but UCSC was finally able to regroup, take advantage with NVM absolutely farming this backline, and then J2HC got some key hacks going.
Oh my goodness, here they are, leaving the comfort and safety of the point itself, getting rid of Keygator, eyes set towards Silhouette, now for the final one of Bozeman, and you're just already, before they even got to the point, UNM has fallen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a beauty on display for UCSC. They're just clinical, decisive in these dives. Zebra is just setting things up, and the DPS are there to follow up with all the damage. NVM, for once, Pulse Bomb falls a little wide, but, I mean, still, one final fight for UNM to try and stop this point from being capped.
And this entire time, they've been just continuously peppering at them. Oh my word, Zebra, you are disgusting, my friend. Now looking towards another target, the kill feed is just lighting up UCSC. Even with the small amount of work that UNM is getting for themselves, this small amount is really all it is. It's small. UCSC, first flashpoint, theirs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Being able to take a whole flashpoint, only committing a pulse bomb, and the pulse bomb didn't even really find anything. So this next engagement is going to be key for UNM. But the EMP comes out.
The EMP comes out, cutting UNM off before they even had a chance. Keygator goes for the Doomfist duplication. Not much is going to be gained on the other side of that. And while all this is breaking down, while Zebra is having the time of their life, NVM is busy getting down to work.
I was legitimately going to say they needed to win that fight, with little commitment and try and force out a lot of ultimates from UNM, but they're just able, from UCSC, but they're able to just get aggressive and win with the EMP as Kagator is now seeing the value out of this Sombra from J2HC and has decided to pick one of his own.
Get rid of the Doomfist. Give yourself victory. They get into the back line. They hack Zebra. While this is all going down, I mean, Barracks is suffering the same exact thing. A really good pulse bomb from Kurama lands onto J2HC, but Zebra has the exact trade out on to Keygator. And what's even worse is Barracks is a casualty for UNM Esports. This forces them away. They can't even do anything without their Doomfist.
60% and counting. The one good thing for UNM is UCSC used every single ultimate they had available to them. So you can come back, use this Bozeman sound barrier aggressively, and look to flip this point.
Looks maybe a little bit more difficult than that. Kurama is the early initial casualty throughout all of this. A sound barrier, but again, it does nothing for Barracks. They are being torn asunder. This Ray from UCSC is a statement. We want to win Saravasa, and we want to win it now.
Yeah, and to me, you sound barrier into a 4v5, and you don't get an immediate pick. I'm just not sure about that. Probably would have been wise just to give up the point and have that sound barrier coming into the next point. As Barracks is now going to make the swap over to the Orisa, and I kind of like this because you have the ability with your javelin spin, and your fortify to limit the amount of CC that Zebra is going to be able to throw down onto you as an Orisa.
This is the flashpoint for UCSC, the series now hinging for UNM on the success of being able to catch this one, the next one, and the next one. That, without Silhouette, may just not be possible. At the very least, for now, UCSC is going to get capture of their final control point that they need.
They did take out the Orchestra, and you're going to have an EMP available.
Oh, and it hit Zebra and Kreffin. Zebra with nowhere to go except for right back into the spawn room. UNM are gonna have to try and survive against Kreffin's Coalescence. That is an insane maneuver from this player, but one that may actually work out for them. Kurama's going all over the place. Silhouette has been taken down.
No
NPM,
way.
what have you just done? You saved the day for UCSC.
Yes, NVM did, but Kreffin kept it alive just long enough. The Coalescence did damage, got players low, and kept the Orchestra up long enough that NVM is able to just clean up. What a display from UCSC to, not give up.
Not give up. Not only that, but then come on to display that level of skill from just 3 players on the point where UNM had it all. It was all in the palm of their hands. And now they're missing Kurama. Keygator is going to try and use this Cassidy. But again, NVM is on top of you, destroying any chances, all of your hopes and dreams to go with it. Barracks, you would think that they're a tank, but the health bar is just so far gone and out of here. And with overtime ticking away, UCSC A, map number 3 of Suravasa, theirs. This series, theirs, all 3-0.
As you mentioned, Sam, UCSC came into this series and they made a statement. We're 5-0 for a reason, and we are going to show you why. We don't care that you're also 4-1. We have so much talent, so much synergy, so much going for us, and with this Doomfist comp thriving in this meta, there's not going to be much teams in this in this division can do. Champions division, sorry.
Is a scary, scary place. UCSC A, undefeated though still, Ray. 6-0 now. UNM Esports taking another black eye. But I think also too, when you consider what they were going up against, that I would still be pretty happy with the results. You managed to stand up against UCSC, who so far has proven to be the top dog of what they're doing in the Champions Division. And they've been just getting away with so much. The Zebra Doomfist composition, tough to play up against. You gotta give it to them for the strategies that they were coming up with, the different looks that we were getting out of them. UCSCA's dominance was on full display, and we're getting the clear understanding of why this team has not been defeated yet.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the one key going forward into the rest of the season, Sam, when we run into upcoming patch changes, how that will affect things, and if this Doomfist comp is still going to be viable. Because if this Doomfist comp is still meta, it's going to be hard-pressed to find a team in the Champions Division that can go toe-to-toe against UCSC in this composition. But, like I mentioned, a patch change can change things. So if this Doomfist cannot be run anymore, what adjustments did UCSC make, and what other compositions will be on their plate to be able to, keep up their dominance?
That's the beauty of Overwatch. When we get into these states, when we get into the flux moments where things could potentially